Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my little sunshine boy. It's day 58 of Daddy in Dubai, and it's Tuesday, spelt with a CHOOSE, Choose Day. And on this Tuesday, I'm here, and the question I must ask you is, whilst you can hear me, are you here? Because it's easy to be here and not here. Let me explain. Right now, you can hear me, but you might not be here because you're thinking about something else. There's something distracting you. And the question is, whenever you are, wherever you are you there or are you somewhere else? Because look, the mind is so magical, right? We, as human beings, underestimate the mind so much. And it's so important to understand the mind of humankind, which is the best kind, humankind. If you understand it, right? So look, sunshine, with it being Tuesday on day 58 for me in Dubai, one of the choices I'm making or I'm choosing today is where I'm going to live, right? So I'm going to move from where I'm at right now. And look, as you can see, the view is pretty spectacular, right? And one of the what can I say? My favorite thing after making a video for you every day is waking up and seeing the sun rise. I don't think there's anything more magnificent than watching it come up. And it was actually the other day, and you'll find out about this guy. There's a new guy on the scene. He's actually an old guy, but a new guy. His name is Adam, and I sent him a video of my interview with John DeMartini, which that was just a dream, man. I had a dream that John would come on my show to you. And did he deliver? I don't know if you've even watched it yet, but look, whenever you do watch it, John's a G, man. He's number one top G on the planet. Forget about Andrew Tate, man. John DeMartini is the top G. Okay. And it's it's amazing that I'm gonna choose my next place, right? So yeah, that was it. So this other guy, Adam, 4 years ago, I met him. He was a real estate guy, which means property. Um, and I got referred to him by Manmeet Massey and Bobby Massa. Anyway, it didn't go according to plan. He wasn't interested in what we had, but I saved his number. His number was there, right? And I've not contacted him for 4 years. And I decided to send that video of John DeMartini to a few selected people because John's not your average cat. And it's quite funny how when I sent that out to a few people, quite a few people messaged me. And I thought, wow, you've not messaged me for 50 days whilst I'm here in Dubai. But because I'm speaking to John, now you want to say hello. So funny. But it's cool, right? Anyway, so Adam was one of the gentlemen that I sent it to. And obviously, John has a level of intelligence. And on that interview, he says, I've known him for 20 years, right? Which I've already told you, Jaden, right? That I've known John DeMartini for 20 years. He taught me how to speed read, and his information and his research and all of that stuff has really, really helped me in my life. And when I met your mum, I said to her, I said, look, if you want us to be together, you got to do two courses, not to understand me, but to understand when I have a situation or a problem, which we're all going to have, right? The two things that everybody in life is going to face is someone you love is going to die and everything's going to change. Okay. You can stand in one place and everything around you will change because that's just life, right? So I said to your mom, look, you got to do the John D. Martini Breakthrough Experience and you got to do UPW by Tony Robbins because they're both tools that help you understand you and how to deal with stuff that most people don't deal with properly, right? And look, losing someone you love is the number one shutdown factor, right? It doesn't matter who you are, wherever you are, what you've got and what you haven't got. When someone you love dies, all of a sudden, all systems shut down. And you think, oh man. And look, if you're not that close to someone, it won't happen. But there are certain people in your life. Remember that day when we were driving to Nanny's and I said to you, what's the prepare for the worst, expect the best? Well, that's something that everybody should do, right? Prepare for the worst, expect the best. And I remember asking you, and you said, well, what's the worst? I said, what's the worst case scenario, Jaden? And you went, oh, if my Switch doesn't work or I can't play any games. And look, your worst case scenario is going to be from whatever's in your world, right? Whatever is important in your world at the time. And I then said to you, I said, how about if I can make it a little bit worse for you? And you went, go on then, Daddy. And I said, what if I died? And you went, oh, that's bad. That's bad, Daddy. And yeah, it's bad. But it's an inevitable thing, right? We don't know when it's going to happen. And we can't control that. But what we can control is how you live, right? You can control your experience of life. And the word perspective changes everything, right? John said in one of his seminars that the greatest discovery of mankind is you can change your world by changing your thoughts, right? So going back to this gentleman, Adam, right? And it's this is a really interesting, funny story, and it's related to today. I sent him the the video of me and John, and he's replied back last Friday saying, "Interesting. Let's have a coffee. Come to the office." So I thought, okay, I'll come to the office. I had brunch with Andrea, the the cool accountant that's been wanting to be an accountant since she's 9 years old. That lady. Anyway, so I go and meet this guy, Adam, right? Go up to his office on the eighth floor in the Shangri-La. And his company's called Timeless Properties, and he's got timeless investments, which I like the sound of already. Okay. Anyway, so I walk in. It shows me around the whole office. They've got two meeting rooms. This is where this happened. This is where the kitchen is. This is where the fridge is. This is where all the drinks are. And I was like, cool. And then he goes, okay, have a seat. So we sit down and I'm like, okay. He's shown me everything in the office. And then he says, um, okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to give you 50-50 commission. And I was sat there confused thinking, I've come for a coffee, man. Yeah, I've come to join you for a coffee. And you're telling me that you're going to give me 50-50 commission. And I said, whoa, whoa, listen, look, let me just stop you in your tracks there, mate. I'm not here to sell property. I'm not a real estate guy. I'm not an estate agent. There's thousands of these guys and girls in Dubai. I said, I'm not one of those guys, man. And he said, well, property market's a little bit slow at the moment. And I told him what I'm focused on. I said, I'm working with this guy called Jeremy Harbour on pre-IPO opportunities. And look, thank you, Jeremy, because without you giving me an opportunity, I wouldn't be where I am today, right? I was sat in the UK thinking months and months and months ago, and probably a year ago, thinking, what can I do, right? I don't want to cut hair. What can I do? And I looked in my phone book, and he's one of the wealthiest guys that I know. And I thought, let me work with him. And I rang him up and I said, give me a job, man. Give me a job. And he said, Dizzy, if you can do this, I'll fly you out to Dubai. And it happened, right? I've been talking to you about it for so long. Um, remember this thing? Still got it. Um, yeah, so I'd say this to Adam, and he said, look, with the property market being a little bit slow, what we can do, Dizzy, is we can promote your investments and your ideas. And I'm thinking, this is weird, man. You just, I've just walked into your office and you're offering me a job. I'm refusing your job, and you're now doing whatever I'm doing. Doesn't normally happen that way, sunshine, right? Anyway, so I said, look, my immediate concern is I need to find somewhere to live. And he goes, I've got the perfect place for you, right? And I was like, okay. He goes, it's and in fact, Jaden, it's a place that me, you, and your mum have stayed in near Dubai Mall, right? And he goes, I can get you a really good price. And I said, well, look, right now I've got no money, man. I've got no money. I'm waiting to get paid. Um, so, but I said, I'm willing to have a look at it. And he goes, when do you want to have a look? I said, now, let's go now. There's no time like the present. So myself and Akeem went to have a look at the place. And it was funny because as um, we had to park in Dubai Mall, and then we had to find our way from the mall to this hotel. And because me, you, and your mum have stayed there before, I knew which way to go, right? So anyway, I'm saying to Akeem, I said, don't worry, you follow me in it. You're the guy with it's your property. You're the real estate guy. You're the estate agent, but I'll show you how to get to the place where you're taking me. How about that? Anyway, on the way to to the new place, we're walking and I see this guy and I went, yo, you're Potter, aren't you? And he's a rapper called Potter Paper. And the funniest thing is, I only know one of his songs, but the one song I do know of his, I absolutely love it. It's called Gangsteritis. And I was excited to meet him, right? And I said to him, I said, yo, I've got a present for you, man. I've got a gift. And look, one of the things that I do every day is I'll take two or three books, and I'll put them in my bag or my briefcase, and I'll go out. And if I meet somebody, whether it's a taxi driver, excuse me, a person behind the bar, anybody. But if I make a connection with them, if our souls connect, then it's something I want to give them as a gift from me to them. And what I've noticed whenever I've done that, it's been received extremely well because everybody loves a gift, right? So I said to Potter, I said, yo, listen, I've got a gift for you, man. And he goes, yo, I love receiving gifts, man. And obviously it's my book. And the book is, for those of you that don't know that are watching this, it's called Revealing the Times Through Explicit Rhymes, which is why this channel is called Revealing the Times to my son, my sunshine. Anyway, so I've got to sign the book, haven't I? And it's a book of rhymes. and I'm giving it to a master of rhymes, Mr. Potter Paper, one of the top rappers in the UK. And we make a little video saying, I'm Dizzy, not Rascal. And some of you may have seen it, some of you haven't, but what a moment, right? So this is on the way to the place that they're going to show me. I get to the location. It looks good. It looks good. Looks really good. I'm happy with the place. I'm happy with the location. I'm going to go and look at it today one more time just to make sure I can watch the sun come up because that's my new favorite hobby is waking up and watching the sun come up. Um, anyway, so I did that and then I came home and then the next day, so that was on Friday, my next conversation with Adam and his colleague Akeem was yesterday. And I said, look, let's get on a Zoom because I've got some questions, right? And one of the questions I wanted to say to Adam was, listen, I came to meet you for a coffee and you offered me a job, right? And he went, yeah. And I said, why? What happened? And he goes, look, Dizzy, I saw who you were and how you spoke in that interview with John D. Martini, and I felt this will be a great guy in our team. And I got that impression. I thought, okay, maybe you've watched my interview and thought, right, you know what, it's perfect time. Let's get him on board. And to be honest with you, there'll always be signs, right, where things will feel right or they won't feel right. And it's important to trust your feeling. Okay. And look, you're only young. You might not be aware of that yet, but it's all about awareness, right? It's all inside of you. You know inside whether something's right or wrong. Look, you might be in a place right now where if you've been told off for speaking up, you might be hesitant to speak up, right? We had a conversation the other day on Zoom, and you told me your throat had slight inflammation, yeah? And look, I'm going to plug this book because it's done a lot of work for me, right? It's Metaphysical Anatomy. Your Body is Talking. Are You Listening? Right? By Dr. Yvette Rose. And look, someone recommended this to me, and they actually attended one of John's seminars and then wrote this book, right? Apparently. I don't know the details, but one thing I can tell you about this book is you put in it has all the symptoms of health in your body, any illnesses you have, and it has a possible scenario that's creating what you're creating or what's happening in your life that's related to why that's happening. So Sunshine, when you said you've got a bit of throat inflammation, I said, okay, live on the WhatsApp call, on the video call, sorry. Um, I said, let's figure out what's what. And as I read out some of the stuff, you said, oh, that's true for me. And if you are not my son and you're watching this, listen, it's something that you can't ignore once you look at the what it says in the book. I remember the other morning, I woke up and this little pinky finger was numb. And I just thought, bad circulation, da 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 da. And then a voice said to me, go and check the book out, man. What are you doing? So I was like, all right, let me check. And everything that it said in the book related to what happened the night before. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy, man. Your body is talking. Are you listening? Wow. I recommend it to anybody. Anyway, so we learned that on the call when I was talking to you, right, Jaden? And it was beautiful. I've looked at other things that are going on in my body and I had a look today and I thought, oh my God, really? And look, I said this before that life is an inside job, right? Your outside world is a reflection of your inner world. Whatever's going on inside here is what is happening out there. So if you change it inside here, it automatically changes out there. And look, on Sunday, World Transformation Day, the morning call I had with Andrea was what would I like to transform? And what I wanted to transform was my family situation. The fact that I couldn't speak to you and your mum, whatever had gone on, I wanted to change that day. And look, by the evening, I'd spoken to you already, right? Which is what I wanted to do. And it was beautiful. The few things, the little interaction we had, honestly, Jaden, you don't understand, man. To to be your dad, to be your father is the greatest thing. Um, and I love talking to you every day. Whether I speak to you face to face or speak to you like this. I mean, this obviously face to face is good, right? And when it's not face to face, I get to speak to you like this. But this one, your digital daddy, is here forever. So long after I've gone, you can still hear me speaking to you. And people that I know that have contributed to my life. Like yesterday, I spoke to Sunil Osman, right? I met Sunil Osman 20 years ago in when I lived in South Africa. And he's a legend, man. He's an actor, an MC, and I don't know if you watched that episode, but as a budding actor, when I said to you, what do you want to do when you want to make movies and Netflix and series and stuff like that? All of those things, you can do it, you can have it, you can be it. And whatever I can do to assist you, right? I said to you that day, prepare for the worst, accept the best, expect the best, prepare for the worst, expect the best. Um, it's true now, right? Prepare for the worst. Right now, I'm preparing for the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is I go to bed and I don't wake up. There would be a moment of silence, right? Wow. Just imagine. Worst case scenario. That happens, right? When you lose someone you love, especially your parents, if you like your parents, some people don't like their parents. And most people do, right? There are a percentage of people that don't like their parents. When they go, life pauses. You have a moment and you think, what am I doing with my life? And most people experience this at some point. And when they do experience it, the question that they ask themselves is, what am I doing with my life? And you know what? That question is really important. And everybody says, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But then guess what happens? Life kicks in. Your job kicks in. Whatever you're doing kicks in and you carry on. And then you're back to your usual self, complaining about this, complaining about that. Because as human beings, we're creatures of habit. Okay. You do things over and over again every single day and you think that's normal. But if what you do every day is not producing the results you want, you got to change that habit. And habits are things you continuously do, right? So change what you're doing every day. I would never, ever, ever imagined that I wake up and watch the sun come up. I never, ever thought that I would fast Monday to Friday. I remember when they used to ask me, they say you have to fast, and I was like, oh man, why do I have to do this for? That's when I was younger, right? And I guess when you understand why you do it, like for me, I'm happy to fast and not eat until the evening, purely for the one reason that when I do eat, oh my God, it tastes so good. Oh, imagine that. And it makes you appreciate your food, man. It makes you appreciate your life. I think the attitude of gratitude, lots of people talk about it. They even call themselves love and gratitude, and then they go and complain about stuff. What's the point in complaining? So Tuesday, day 58 of Daddy in Dubai. What am I choosing? I'm definitely not choosing that I'm losing. I'm not losing nothing because I have everything, everything that I desire, everything I require is available. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Oh, one other thing, right? So this guy, Adam, when I confronted him, well, not confronted him, I said to him, I said, look, yesterday but on Friday when I came for a coffee, you basically offered me a job, right? He went, yep. He said, I can see you have the ability to connect with anybody. And I do. And that's because I speak from the heart and people can feel it. It's funny, someone said, Dizzy, you're so magnetic. And look, the grass outside, how much effort does a blade of grass put into being a blade of grass? Nothing, right? How much effort do you need to put into being yourself? Zero. But the question remains, are you really being yourself? Really? Come on. I know, Sunshine, based on what we read in the book on Sunday, there may be certain things that you may be holding back on, right? And that's natural. Sometimes you're scared of saying stuff. But look, there are some interesting things going on in our world, as in me, you, your mum, and everything, right? But speaking and communicating is the key. Because if you don't know what's going on, stuff will happen in your mind and you'll make up stuff. Your mind will play tricks on you. Yeah. Look, I'm going to say this, and whenever you watch it, you'll understand. But the reason I got you a mobile phone is because I knew at some point in the future I'm gonna go into be different parts of the world. Okay. And I knew that I wouldn't see you, which is why I got you a contract so that that mobile phone that you have, yeah, it's a portal to your daddy. No matter where I am in the world, you can call me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When you call me, it says Sunshine's calling. And I will do my very best to call you back. All you got to do is give me a missed call, send me a message. And if you don't want to speak to me, that's fine. Just say, Daddy, I don't want to speak to you every day, man. And I'll be like, yeah, cool. Because I want to speak to you every day. And whether you like it or not, I'm going to record a video for you every day that I'm alive. I'll give you a report, day 58 of Daddy, your digital daddy. After interviewing Sunil yesterday, and he said, you know what, Dizzy, what I got more from the interview was the thoughts after the interview that you're doing something and you're leaving this as a legacy for your son, man. You're doing something that stretches beyond your own time. So, Sunshine, love you to the moon and back. I'm signing out on day 58 of Daddy in Dubai. ChooseDay, whoever you are watching this, choose wisely. I only realized yesterday, thanks to the crypto Web3 queen, Miss Rhoda. Big you up, man, because she said to me, Dizzy, I can't leave no comments on any of your videos. And thanks to her yesterday, I did it so you can make comments on every single video, right? You can ask questions, whatever you want. If you're not my son, uh, you still have access to this stuff. And I welcome your questions, your comments. And look, the like, subscribe, all of that stuff, what it does, from what I understanding, the more you like and subscribe and make comments, the more the algorithm will allow this video to go to more people. And look, the number one goal for me, Sunshine, and maybe I'm lucky, but when I was 19, I remember Princess Diana died, Mother Teresa died, and apparently the heart chakra of the world opened, and this guy called Stuart from Australia. There were a few strange incidents that happened to me over six days. And he said, Dizzy, I can explain this to you. And I went round to his house and we did a meditation. And within this meditation, I saw these two guys, right? A Chinese guy and a Red Indian guy. And they told me why I was born. And my first question to them when they told me this was, can I still be a hairdresser? Because at the time I was a ladies' hairdresser and I was loving it, man. I was having a good time. It was something I really wanted to do and I got to do it and I enjoyed it. And looking back upon it now, I think what I enjoyed more than doing the haircut and the blow dry and all of that stuff, I think I enjoyed talking to them more because as you can see, I like to talk. And I didn't realize when you grow up, you can get paid to talk. I didn't realize that was a career option until I became 26, which is why now I talk for a living, right? Conversations, deals happen via communicating. So, yeah, thank you. Oh, what happened there? Thank you, Rhoda. Um, that was a really good video today. I think we covered a lot. I don't even know how long that's been. But one thing I do know is ChooseDay. Choose wisely if you're watching this. And look, I will be posting this on LinkedIn. Big up the LinkedIn crew. Big up Rhoda. Um, big up Gotham. Big up Sunil. Andrea, the cool accountant. And today I reconnected with Mr. Joe Gregory. I didn't even realize you've written a book or co-written 5 books. Big up Jamie, Jamie from Circle Network. Big up Shayan, um, my new friend from Holland. who I'll be working with. Who else? Look, if I missed you out, apologies. Um, these are just the people that have come to mind. But yeah, day 58 of Daddy in Dubai, and the sun is shining, and my sun is shining. Lovely to the moon and back, sunshine.